Hello and welcome back to our Glasgow, Montana build. Today I just wanted to give you a quick show around town. Last time when we were looking at this build, the street layout was completed. However, we had a lot of ugly skyscrapers and ridiculous buildings all over the place that just didn't make sense at all for a town which is modeled after a small settlement of about 3,000 people in real life. So I took some time and I went through and I created new districts, which all are themed either in the European suburbia style. So yeah, I'm trying to show you. Know why yeah, for some reason it's not showing the names of the districts. Well, anyway. So we have the northeast side, the northwest side, the south side, the business district. And then we have our industrial areas, also designated to be farm areas. The business district is limited to a what is it called? It's the organic and local produce category. So most of the buildings that we have here are these low-rise sort of buildings that are focused mostly on light services. We have electric car charging places, public markets, these little brick buildings fit in pretty well for a small town kind of a vibe. It works out pretty well because we have a lot of parking spaces, and that's how downtown Glasgow, Montana would be. You'd have little buildings and then you have a lot of parking spaces off the street. And then on our main road out here, we do have this shopping center, which is actually sitting where the real life Albertsons would be, and then we have an old Shopco would have been here in real life, and I think it's now something else like Schwann's, I want to say. Anyway, that had been an old department store there, little department store. But we just have we've transitioned our neighborhood to be little houses that they are samey, but they work. They look like houses. They don't look like high rises or condos or anything like that. And the city just looks a lot more like a small town than it used to. Now, we've also taken some time to eliminate a lot of the pollution. And one way we've done that is by aligning our industrial areas to the agricultural category of industrial specialization. That helps us to eliminate the pollution by making sure all the buildings are aligned with the farming industry. And that would be very appropriate for Glasgow, Montana as well, because it is a farming community. Now, what we want to do is to figure out how to kind of start to downsize the town. And I do want to work on expanding my farming industry to have some actual farms producing goods, and then really to start decreasing the size of the population for this city. I want it to look as real as possible. And I think part of that journey is going to be to see how we can kind of make it look a little more like a small town by just decreasing the size of services, decreasing the number of citizens, and just kind of getting it down to where it has that vibe of being a sleepy little town. And it just isn't that way right now. It feels more like a big city. Because you still have the traffic problems and things like that. Like here we have a perpetual traffic jam here because we have relatively few streets that go across the railroad tracks, and then that just contributes to the gridlock. But anyway, it's turned out pretty well, other than a few things like traffic problems. It's certainly a lot more realistic to what I would have expected of a real small town than what it looked like before, when we had the vanilla default style skyscrapers and things like that. We do have a little theater here, cinema, which is actually right in the same spot where there really is a cinema, on the corner of 2nd Avenue and 6th in the south downtown area. So that's pretty much where we're at. We did expand our city boundary just a little bit, so we have this little neighborhood that exists on the north side of town as you make your way out of town to the north on Route 2 in real life. And I have been thinking it might be kind of cool to maybe create some facsimile of St. Marie, the old military base, maybe up in this corner, but not super worried about that. Anyway, I also want to kind of show the progress of what I've been doing in the games that I'm playing, but also sort of stop making long videos of these building games, because I know nobody really is going to want to watch a movie video of 40 minutes long. So the goal here is to just start to figure out how to do quick recaps of basically, this is what our progress looks like since last time, and then I'll continue to play off screen mostly, and just pop back in to do a less than 10-minute long video showing what we did since last time and kind of what my experience has been. One thing that really stands out to me as I talk about this build is that the urge in City Skylines is to always chase growth. You're always going to feel like you need to create more residential, and then you need to create more industrial and commercial because there's more demand there, and then when you do that, there's more residential demand, and it just goes on and on and on. And there's sort of a never-ending chase there to meet the demand of the game. And then you wind up with a really samey city that feels extraordinarily unoriginal because it's just a non-stop sea of traffic and gridlock and skyscrapers. While in reality, cities aren't like that. There's a lot of towns that are small and sleepy and quiet. There's a lot of towns where there isn't really any high density areas at all. There's lots of sleepy communities where you just have little houses. And so I think the purpose of this build is partially to embark on an experiment to see how small can we go? How much is it possible in the vanilla base game running the full simulation without any gimmicks or mods or downloaded extra things that aren't part of the main game? How much can we create a town that feels true to a real city in small town America? And then, of course, this is also a little bit of a shout out and a tribute to a real town that's actually an amazing part of Montana history, being a tiny town, but also an urban center in the sense that there are no other cities for more than 100 miles in any direction. So truthfully, you'd probably travel about 4 hours before you'd get to another city if you lived in this town, no matter what direction you went. So, which makes it pretty amazing that it's a self-contained community while also still being a very small town. And I think for City Skylines in the base game, a small town is the perfect sort of town to replicate because it gives you a lot of liberty to pay attention to detail instead of trying to create a big old metropolis. So that's it, Glasgow, Montana. And we will be doing another update video soon to show you the changes which come. next. Thank you very much for watching.